Another question is on desire. So you said before that once you have a desire, once you launch it, you cannot let go. It cannot go away.
Now let's talk about that more fully.
Yeah.
You've launched it incrementally, and it's been gathering by law of attraction. That's worth talking about now, since we just told you that earlier. You'll hear this in a new way. So you've been putting the pieces of your desire into your vortex, and your inner being stands there. And what did we just say about the comparative attraction power of your inner being versus you? So can you feel the power of what's going on in your vortex? Can you just imagine what's going on in your vortex? Can you feel the wonder and the empire and the massiveness and the bigness and the goodness and the value of what's in your vortex? What your inner being has stood there and attracted to that on your behalf, because you are it and it is you. Can you feel how big that is? And so when you talk about desire, we want to say that's that desire, that's that desire. That desire is there. It's bigger than you know. Now, when you chill, when you tune in, when you meditate, when you don't do that thing you do that keeps you from being in the receptive mode, how's that? When you don't do that thing that doesn't work, and you are in alignment with that, now your inner being is going to incrementally feed to you ideas to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And that is the deliciousness of life. That's the in the flow. That's the in the zone. That's the hands in the clay of creation. That's the joy of life. That's the fulfilling the purpose of life. That's the being who you are. That's the clarity and the creativity flowing. That's so satisfying. Don't you like the word satisfying? That's so satisfying. It is so satisfying to be in that mode, in that receptive mode of allowing all of the things that you've created. We've been talking to you about step 1, step 2, step 3 for quite a long time, haven't we? And now you're getting it in a whole new way, because step 1 and 2 have happened, and now you're doing step 3. Now you're in the receptive mode, and now the thoughts are flowing.
So given that that desire continues to just beam a signal and it does not go away, people find ways of disconnecting from their desire, disconnecting consciously. What is that? Is it a dissociation? And what's the quickest way out of that?
All right, so here again, another question that we're going to give you a really quick answer to that you're really going to like. Yeah. What was your question?
What is the mechanism people use to disconnect from that, because it cannot go away? So what are they doing? And how do you get back?
Here's the thing that you keep doing that we want you to stop doing. Here's what we really want you to hear. It isn't what they're doing that we want to talk about. It's what they're not doing. They're not getting into the receptive mode. In other words, that's the only way to explain it.
Like, who cares how they're doing it?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why they're justifying or why they're defending. None of that makes any difference. It could go dozens and dozens and dozens of different ways. Ask the question again, because you're speaking it very clearly as a spokesman of humanity, and certainly talking. So what's the question? What is it that you're asking?
The desire does not go away.
The desire is a constant.
But many people find ways of disassociating or disconnecting
from things that really matter. Okay, so stop that sentence right there. Many people find,
including me sometimes, find ways of distancing.
Find things that aren't alignment.
Yeah.
And every time they find them, they don't feel as good as alignment. In other words, this is what the mastery is. It's sort of by trial and error. You do that and you get those results, and you do that and you get those results, and you do that and you get those results. You do that and you get those results. You do that and you get those results. And after a while, you say, oh, this is what I really prefer. Not just because I get better results, but because it's way more fun along the way. So let's get to the heart of your question. What was the question again? This matters a lot.
Yeah.
So the desire is a constant. So the question is,
what is it? I think you've sort of answered that you don't worry about what it is that we do, but there is something we do to dissociate or disconnect from desire because we don't like the pain of the disconnect.
Maybe, but that's a lot of blah, 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 blah. You don't justify that, don't defend that, and don't support that, because
I'm not saying it's right. I just say, what's the quickest way out of that pattern? What is the most direct path? Care about how you feel, stop doing it. It sounds very simple.
It does, doesn't
it? And it is.
But you got to the heart of it. The answer is care about how you feel. And once you have tasted alignment and clarity, then anything less than that just won't do. The answer to your question is, first of all, the big answer is law of attraction keeps it going. So that's what we were saying. Law of attraction just keeps feeding you that stuff because that's where you are. You get what you think about, and it starts to feel reasonable to you because you think it, and then it is, and then you observe it, and then you think it, and then it is, and then you observe it. And so it's just a cycle. The answer to your question is law of attraction. But another answer to the question is, I must not care enough about that feeling of clarity and that feeling of alignment if I'm willing to go another route. And another answer to the question is, most everybody else is doing that, so it seems reasonable. It seems reasonable to someone who hasn't experienced the mastery. In other words, if you've never known what the receptive mode feels like, then you might be willing to tolerate the reasonable mind mode. But once you've tasted what alignment and clarity feels like, and what streaming non-physical consciousness feels like, and about really being fully who you are feels like, then anything less than that is just not enough. And so you really have to just live enough of it and ask enough questions and come to strong enough decisions about what you want. Even out of that comes a stronger decision for that. In other words, if you have filled your vortex of all kinds of things, and your inner being has occasionally given you guidance and insight, and you've tasted what that feels like, and now you're in a mode of feeling indecision instead, that moment of indecision makes you ask for more decisiveness. That moment of confusion makes you ask for more clarity. And so you just add more to your vortex, so now your inner being is feeding more of it to you. But it doesn't matter how much your inner being knows, and it is infinite intelligence. And it doesn't matter how much you have created in your vortex, and it's more than we can even talk about if we talk to you every day for the rest of this physical life experience. It doesn't matter. None of that matters if you're not in the receptive mode. It doesn't matter how much is queued up for you if you don't tap in and let it flow. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter why you're not doing it. It only matters that you're not doing it. The why you're not doing it doesn't matter when you know how to do it.
Yeah, I think
and so we would spend no time justifying why you're not doing it. We want to give no reason to why you're not doing it. You're not doing it because it doesn't matter enough to you to do it. And when it matters enough to you to do it, then you'll get up in the morning and you'll meditate. You'll tune in. You'll dance to the music. You'll take your swim. You'll do the things that make you feel good. You'll get out into the world. You'll breathe deeply. You'll care about how you feel. You'll turn to the things that are surefire tuning in mechanisms. In other words, you'll do those things that you know cause you to feel that way, and you will not accept not being tuned in. And so you won't show up just because they expected you to at work. You won't show up just because they said you should be there, and you won't toe the mark just because somebody else said that you would. You'll say to anybody that asks, I have a higher purpose and I intend to line up with it, and please don't fire me. Because I'll get there.
Just want to say, last time I was up here, I ended by saying something about if Esther ever has an opening on her team or staff, and I just heard that story earlier. I thought maybe it sounds like there could be. I know it's a shameless plug. Thank you. Gracias.
It's starting to click, isn't it? You now can feel what to do, yes? And
obviously it's all good. I know when I'm in that receiving mode. I know when I'm not. I appreciate that I'm more and more often in that receiving mode. I've also noticed that the more I am aware of it and I try to stay in the receiving mode, at that point I'm not in the receiving mode.
because when you are in the receiving mode, there is no effort required. And when you feel like you need to try, that's when you want to take a nap or change the subject or focus in some other way. Are you following what we're getting at? Because when you try, you are usually trying to accomplish something that isn't. So the dominant vibration from your perspective is the isn't. And now anything that you're doing about it just increases the resistance. And you can feel the strain within you. You can feel when you're trying. You can feel when you're trying too hard. We don't mean to say that trying at all is trying too hard. Yeah, we do. Trying at all is trying too hard, because in the flow there is no trying, there is just the receiving. It's just the obvious thing. You get in that flow and things that wouldn't occur to you begin to occur to you. It's just such a nice thing to watch how many good ideas flow to you from your broader perspective that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
True.